Welcome to another edition of Crime News with Mark Solomon. It's Tuesday, July 13, 2021, and today we're going to be talking more about Summerwell's disappearance case, and we're going to be going over some viewer comments, and we're going to be talking a lot about the interviews, and I'm going to be pointing you in some directions of some other YouTube shows, which I think you will like. Stay tuned. But before we get to that, don't forget to click like with subscribe with a little bell next to it to be notified of future videos. I will be posting more videos. You want to know about it? Click the button and you'll find out what they are. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to it. First thing I wanted to talk a little bit about, there's a website I found which talks, this is Crime Online, and it talks about there's a good chance she's already gone. Hear new interview with missing Summerwell's father, Don Wells. And this is not actually a new interview. I think it's new to them. We covered it in this weekend's video, but this is the comment I kind of wanted to spend some time on. If nothing else, we'll see her in the resurrection. As long as I keep her in the commandments and do what I'm supposed to do, I'll see her, said Don Wells, Summerwell's father. That's an important thing. He said this in one of the original interviews that I had referred to in last week's video, this weekend's video. And remember, here he is just days out from having had his 5-year-old daughter missing, and he's already saying, I'll see her in the resurrection. And it's telling. I've had a lot of viewers comment about this interview and how he has just no affect. Let's all try to remember, when any of us goes through anything stressful, there are many different ways we can handle stress. Some people laugh, some people cry, some people just go flatline. And they're dealing with stress the way they know. It's not for us to say what they're doing, what they're feeling, what they're thinking. I've done so many cases where police officers say somebody looks nervous or somebody was laughing, so obviously they couldn't be scared. Different people handle it differently. Let's give them a little latitude. This particular article, and again, links to all these pages are going to be in the comments below. He says he looks to brothers as specialists because they couldn't come out and question them, Don Wells says, but they have questioned them. Also gave my mother-in-law a lie detector test. This is something I want to talk about. I didn't mention this in my last video. At one point, Don Wells was talking about how Candus Bly, the mother of Summerwell's, took a polygraph and passed it. I had commented earlier that I thought that this was a very strange thing to say because it didn't come from law enforcement. And generally speaking, they don't comment on lie detector tests because polygraph tests, lie detector tests, they're not that credible. And it's interesting that he would come out and say that she took it and passed. What about him? If they gave her a lie detector test, wouldn't they have given one to him too? And who's going to vouch for the results of that one if she's not talking about it? Again, I thought it was kind of peculiar, but I wanted to mention it. Here is another one. This was just from yesterday, where the tips they've gotten are up to 935 tips. So that's the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. They're looking into these tips, but none of them have been useful. And, it makes me wonder, is that, I've had a lot of people comment and, hey, folks, I really appreciate the comments. Last I looked, we were well over 500 comments on Saturday's video. I appreciate that. I'm reading as many as I possibly can. Think about this, though. A lot of people are saying, you armchair folks, stop speculating and causing problems. You're just making it less likely you're going to find Summerwell's. And, I don't think that's what people are doing. I think they're genuinely curious. I think the story that that's come out, not from the law enforcement or the prosecutors, generally speaking, they have released no details whatsoever. All we're hearing about this case is from the interviews from the news media interviewing the family. And that's where things are just getting a little strange. A lot of people, myself included, are having a lot of hard time believing some of these facts, and we're going to get to that in just a second. Last article I wanted to go over was, this is a video put out by the sheriff of Hawkins County, where Summer is missing from, and his video, he doesn't talk much. I think it's a minute and a half. You should watch this video. Basically, he says everybody's a suspect. From there, let's go a little bit to some of the comments that, everybody's been posting. And these are interesting. Here's one from Tracy Oshinsky. This was 3 days ago, saying anybody with a missing child, you don't You don't give up. You never give up. It's like they know what happened. And this is what I wanted to highlight here. Your child just went in the house and the mom goes in 2 minutes later. Why would you be looking for her if she had just gone into the house? And expresses some disbelief. And I think that carries some weight, right? A 5-year-old, apparently they come home from swimming, the doctor to get the prescription because the grandmother had hurt her knee or something like that, got an opioid prescription, nothing wrong with that. And then they come home to plant flowers. And after planting some flowers, not sure if it was in the garden or in those little pots next to the house that we saw in Saturday's video, but Summer gets a piece of candy from her grandmother and then goes into the house, and 2 minutes later, the mom goes in to look for her. And why is that strange? I think it's strange because, number one, she had gone in to go play in the playroom. The boys were in the house. It's not like she was not being supervised. Apparently, they had 3 other boys, and at least 1 or 2 of them were in the house with her. Why did the mom go in looking for her? That's kind of weird. I agree with this viewer. Second one from Prickly Pear 3 days ago. And she said her first red flag was within days of Summer's disappearance when Don was being interviewed on the subject of the missing sister-in-law came up. And he said they never found a trace of her either. And that was within days of her disappearance. Prickly Pear says, makes it altogether too clear that Don is certain that no trace of Summer is ever going to be found. And frankly, I tend to agree. I think that's an extremely suspicious thing to say. Last comment I wanted to go over has a number of things that I think are valid. A lot of valid points. The teenager said that Summer had slipped on a rock and went under for 15 to 20 seconds. And if her foot went forward, she most likely hit her head on the back of the rock. If she had fallen into the river and been under for 15, 20 seconds, goodness knows what happened or what was wrong with her. Next, the timeline of returning home to calling Don, who called 911, is suspicious. From 3:30 p.m. to 6:30 is 3 hours. And if she's missing for 3 hours with no trace of her, why would you wait 3 hours to call law enforcement? That does not make any sense at all. Next statement. I don't know of any person suffering from knee pain who went to the hospital for opiate drugs to alleviate the pain wants to plant flowers. Extremely valid point here. Nobody in pain is going to want to kneel, stoop, do anything like that. And if she's planting flowers, which is what their statements say, that the 2 adults were planting flowers and Summer was out there with them, very, very, very odd. Now, I had so many people who made so many comments about the dogs. Some people had said that there were, at least half a dozen. Other people had said 7, 8, 10, 20 dogs even. And I've had a lot of people commenting about these dogs. Now, I had made the comment that there was even a dog in the picture that the news article had showing the back of the house that they all lived in, that little 780 square foot home in the middle of an 11-acre lot, which I think is really important. But people had said that the dogs would have been barking. Some people called them vicious dogs. Others said that, well, no, they were stray dogs and they just used it as sort of a home base. And if it's not their actual home, they're not going to bark or be protective. But, I want to make this point because I think this is really important. If there were any dogs at the house at all, and there were 2 adults out back, or out front rather, and somebody had come onto the property in the middle of this 11-acre lot, made absolutely no noise, nobody had heard them, and had taken Summer from the home, which I find very, very incredible. The next question is, what were the dogs doing, and did the adults not even notice? Even if like half a dozen dogs made absolutely no noise, if there were stray dogs and they were running from the stranger, wouldn't that raise an alarm of some kind? A good analogy is if you're walking in a field, you make too much noise, and the trees on the edge of the field, there's a bunch of birds there. You make some noise and the birds flock off into the air. I mean, they didn't make any noise, but you saw a bunch of birds leaving. And if a pack of dogs were to run the other way, it would alert anybody that something was going on. Okay, and none of that apparently happened. So kind of strange. Next thing I wanted to do, there are some really, really good videos out there. And one I really wanted to call attention to is this one by the Behavior Panel. You should watch this. This is a really long video. It's about an hour and 20 minutes. Look at this, hour and 20 minutes. And these four guys go through the interviews. They are the experts on human behavior. And I think you should listen to what they have to say. What we say about human behavior and what we say are perfectly valid. If any one of us was a juror in a trial trying to evaluate somebody's credibility, I think these folks, these four guys, have a particularly keen sense of what they're looking for and why, and they may help you decide that maybe you were right about something or maybe you were wrong about something. Watch this video. There's another interview with Teresa, special guest Melissa, and this is on the channel called Unmasked. Look at this one too. Both of these videos are going to be in the description below, but they do a long interview with David Dotson, a family friend of the Wells family. And, you know, he was there apparently. He talked to them and he's got some insight. Some people have pointed to this interview as having even more discrepancies. But, you know, again, this is another hour and 10-minute video. If you want to watch it, go ahead. I found it really interesting. And he does seem to point out some facts which don't jive with what came out in the other folks' interview. And I think it's definitely worth a watch. But thank you all so much for the comments. I've tried to respond to as many as I could, but remember, we're up to like 540 comments. It's kind of difficult to comment, you know, to respond to everyone. I am reading as many as I can. You are all doing a wonderful job supporting and responding to each other. I appreciate that too. But that's what I've got for today. If you've got any thoughts, feelings, questions, or anything you'd like answered in a future video, please put it in the comments or tag me on Twitter. More than want to hear what you have to say. Thank you so much for watching.